Major news. After days on a razor's edge, Ukraine is now a nation at war. Just hours ago, Russian forces began their attack. President Vladimir Putin warning other countries that any attempt to...
Давай! Давай, бежим!
When the war started, first day of the war, February 24th, we started receiving the flood of people escaping the war. This is a very difficult situation. When those people were arriving, that was just a flood. Just for you to imagine, every day there were 40,000 people coming just to Lviv railway station, just by railway, 40,000 people a day. Our church was filled with the people. All our classrooms, Sunday school classrooms, we put beds there or mattresses, and people would stay there because they would come after 3 or 4 days on the road, tired, with children, hungry.
Сім'ї привозили старших людей.
Families were brought here, elderly people were brought from the train, people who were paralyzed, who had to be fed, dressed, washed, and who needed assistance with everything. There were people who spent their last days here. They had to be buried. It was an enormous trauma, and I was sitting there thinking, how can I help this person? What can I do for this person? What can I even say to this person?
My father, during the Soviet times, he established a network of underground print shops in the former Soviet Union. So for us and the whole family, all 11 children, we learned the importance of the books for education and for your life. Reading the books, writing the books, publishing the books is not a choice, but is a demand to the church. Spreading the gospel starts with the book. Discipleship is done with the books. Book should be a fundamental part of our life and ministry. You cannot do this without books.
I cannot emphasize the importance and the need that Ukraine has for Christian literature. Over the years, most of the resources that have been published and available in Ukraine have been in the Russian language, and even those resources were very scarce and far in between. Now, with the language issue being involved in the war, there's even a greater need for resources in Ukrainian. Honestly, there is very, very few resources in Ukrainian. I mean, especially from an evangelical background. We are really struggling right now to find books that we can assign to students, to find books for people to read in our local churches. We're basically starting from scratch. We're starting from nothing.
Вони є на російській мові.
Even before the war, we faced the problem that not all of our students could read in Russian. And every year it becomes harder and harder. And we realize that now, during the war, for some people, it is even a moral issue. They just can't read the Russian books. They have completely abandoned the Russian language and just can't do it. We have met young people who wrote essays in which we asked, "What would you like to forget in this life?" And one guy said, "I would like to forget the Russian language."
I'm Soloviy, Ukrainian theologian and educator who lives in Lviv, Ukraine. I believe it's very important for us right now to bring Ukrainian resources to Ukrainian churches. I'm very thankful to Langham. Tackling Trauma is one of the most useful books published in Ukraine for Ukrainian church during the war. Right now we are working on Ukrainian translation of other very important book, Scattered and Gathered, a compendium of missiology, diaspora missiology.
I am so thankful to Langham for providing so many resources globally, but especially in Ukraine, locally supporting Ukrainian authors. The Tackling Trauma book has been a tremendous resource. As I've said earlier, there's virtually no resources available in Ukrainian, and I couldn't think of a more relevant resource right now that has immediate impact than books dealing with trauma and counseling people that have gone through trauma.
The book itself as a resource is definitely the resource. It is written in Ukrainian and theologically influenced and sound. This is probably one of the brightest and most relevant books for us today in our country.
So we discovered, I always say this, during the wartime, Ukrainian church finally understood why it exists in Ukraine, why God planted the church in Ukraine, to help, to serve, to minister, to assist, to feel the struggles and sorrows of our nation, and to be really the hands and the voice and the heart of Christ for our nation.
Записав